Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen and everyone sees my slides.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So hi and welcome. Maybe Julie, maybe we'll start with a quick intro for those. I mean, I know some know one of us. We'll start with a quick intro. Julie, do you want to start?
Yes, sure. So I'm Julie, I'm French. You must probably be able to tell it with my accent. So I've been working in tech for 17 years. I've been working in 5 countries and led team across more than 15. And 3 years ago, I left the corporate world, envisioning a radical different ecosystem for the tech where women don't have to become someone else to lead and can lead powerfully from who they are. And I created iQuest for her to equip, elevate the woman and help them to raise to decision-making roles.
And now you're in Bangkok.
And and now I'm in Bangkok, and I'm coaching women in tech uh, across Asia and Europe. What
Yeah.
about you, Limor?
Yeah, so similarly to you, Julie, so I worked in tech for over 20 years. I worked in software development, so started as a developer and grew into leadership roles. I'm in Israel now, and I lived in the US, so not as many countries as you are, Julie. Um, and 5.5 years ago, I left corporate and I started my business because I had a very, very strong mission, I think, similarly to you, Julie, to support women. And that's what I do today. I mainly coach women in leadership, but not just in leadership roles, because we need all the support we can get, especially when working predominantly with men. And Julie and I met, I don't know, a few months ago, I think.
Yeah. Through the program, and we align on the fact that we believe that women have 100% the capabilities to climb the ladder, and they just need some little support to achieve this.
Yeah. And because we have a small group here, so we will welcome you to just participate. We don't want it to be like a lecture, more of a discussion. And we decided actually to start with this topic. We have actually, Julie and I met several times and we thought about, okay, what are the topics we can talk about? And we chose to start with this one, with owning the room, because we feel like it's very important for women. We know that we are capable, we know so much, but, and I'm saying that from personal experience as well, we don't always show that. I mean, when we are speaking in meetings or individually with leaders or peers, or it could be also people that report to us, we don't always show up as the great women we already are. And we want to talk about today kind of, the challenges that we have. Again, we're all talking from personal experiences here. What are some opportunities? And we're going to share with you a framework to how you can actually change how you communicate. And obviously, we want it to be very action driven. So we prepared some takeaways for you, a document that we'll share with all of you, so you can actually. We want you to practice. I mean, we all know that there's so much we can learn, but eventually, the only way to grow is by actually implementing. Julie?
Okay, so based on our experience, we know that yeah, there are several things that are happening when it's about speaking up and owning the room. So the first is a fear of speaking up. So we hesitate, and so as a result, how many ideas are not revealed to be explored? How many projects are not seeing the light? how many presentation, stay in your laptop, because the time you think about, okay, should you speak up about something you have to introduce, someone else will have done it because you've been overthinking if you should do it or not. And overthinking. So you go in your uh, in the chain of thought in your head. You think about, okay, maybe this is gonna be stupid, what people are gonna think about me, or how people are going to judge me. And then, it's basically activating your amygdala. And so either you freeze, either you flight, either you fight. Most of the time we freeze. And so we don't feel that we don't feel comfortable to speak. And so we just stay silent, and we are playing small by doing that. And also something, and especially in male-dominated environment, is the lack of psychological safety. Most of the time, you would be the only woman sitting at the table. Maybe lucky if there are two, and so that's not an environment where you feel safe, to suggest things, or even, to have doubt. So unless you are feeling fully confident and 100% sure. And most of the time, if I look at my client, prepared, that's a big word. Like, oh, am I prepared? I'm not prepared to talk. Or if I want to talk, you're going to over prepare the meeting, and it's happening a lot. And if the meeting is diverting to something else, you didn't prepare for it. So at the result, you still not thinking and not talking. And the point is that this is not about you, it's about the system, it's conditioning. It's conditioning in which way? So first, when you are in meeting, the fact that you are continuously interrupted, and it's not once, it's been throughout your career, this is conditioning. The fact that also, we are getting vague feedback is like, you could do better or you could improve. This is also not helping, and this is also conditioning. And the last thing, and when I say it's the system, is that we are usually praised for being helpful. And so we condition ourselves to be helpful. We are not praised, to be confident leader. We are not praised to be bold. And all of this is conditioning, and is shaping your behaviors. So that's the real problem,
Yeah.
not you, the system.
And I want to welcome Olga, my friend Choid. Thank you, Olga, for joining. I know that you're in a conference, so thank you. And I want to ask any of you, if you resonate or if you want to share, feel free. I mean, I can share that all of those items, I mean, I've experienced them personally. I mean, maybe not realizing it at the moment, like why I was not speaking up, but eventually, when thinking about it, um, I was afraid of being judged, of being maybe, someone will I'll say something and people will think I'm stupid or something. And basically, we don't want to change you, but we want to change how we own the room, how we present ourselves, how we talk in meetings. And the challenge is that when we don't speak up, when we don't show up confidently, when we don't take space, we are unseen. So we can be in a room, or even with very few people, and no one will notice us. No one will know how great we are, because we're just not speaking up. We're not sharing ideas. We're maybe taking less space. And also, we don't show up as confident. And eventually, when you own the room, you become visible. People hear you out, people respect you. And, I remember at least one manager in the past that told me, after, because I'm very quiet and introverted by nature. And he told me, like, after a meeting that I actually, very showing up confidently and talking, said, wow, you have I haven't realized you have so much to share. I want to hear you more. I don't know if it happened to any of you, because for me, it was always very, very difficult. to show up in meetings and speak up. If no one speaks, we'll just continue.
Okay, so we move to the RISE framework. So this is an easy way actually for you to remember what you can do in order to change this and what you can do in order to own the room. So you can reclaim your voice, you can influence with attention, you can stop playing the pleaser and embody executive energy. As mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, so this is not about just information, and I really want you, to look at this framework and see where you already see, area where you can uh, improve and what you can implement for yourself. It's a process. Like it's not at the end of this webinar you're gonna own the room. It's not how it's working. It's really about stepping outside your comfort zone. And so here the objective is to identify, okay, what you know, but you are not doing yet. And what are the small things you can do and consciously and intentionally practice whenever you have the opportunity. Also, something that is important is that about owning the room, it's not about stepping outside your comfort zone in big meeting with senior leader. Start already to practice with people you feel comfortable, meeting with your peers, meeting with your direct report, but ensure that you already um, nail all these elements of your communication. So the rise, so the R is reclaim your voice. Most of us don't even notice actually how much we dilute our communication. So we talk in the way that seems to be collaborative and respectful, but being liked and being respected are two different things. And that's really important to understand the difference. And so every time that you are saying sorry, maybe just, you unconsciously lower your authority in the room. I have a client, she's always asking me, even in coaching, does that make sense? When she's explaining something. This is really minimizing what you just said. Like basically, when you say, does that make sense? And you ask people because you are looking for validation or you are looking for them to acknowledge, you're just saying, okay, like, does that sound like realistic? Like you're just projecting your self-doubt to the room when you ask someone, does that make sense? So think about all these little words that are actually minimizing what you just said or what you are going to say. And instead of sorry to interrupt, for example, you say, I'd like to add. Women use a lot sorry. We even don't realize sometimes, but we start all of our sentences with a sorry, but, and again, it's conditioning. Like you've been conditioned, and because you didn't try to change it, it seems obvious and normal to say sorry. One big one that for me changed my life is like someone say, okay, you never say sorry when you are not answering, to an email like right away, and you say thank you for your patience. That's it.
I love
Thank
that.
you for your patience.
That's a great tip.
So
Love
yeah,
that.
and it's shifting the narrative, it's shifting your positioning, it's shifting everything. So think about every time you say sorry, think about a way where you can empower yourself and demonstrate that no, there is nothing to be sorry. Like, okay, we have life, we have work. You cannot answer right away. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah,
And if you want to add something, you just add something. You're not sorry to add something.
for sure. I want to add something, Julie, something that came up to my mind. It's not just in meetings, how many times it happened to you when you wanted to talk, and this is, I see, by the way, with a lot of my clients. You want some time from your manager, and you say, oh, I'm sorry, I know you're busy. I just need a few minutes. You're coming, asking for your manager's time in an very apologetic way. And instead, you need to say, hey, I really need some, I need some time with you because I have something important. So making yourself important rather than apologizing for needing time.
Yeah. Important or strategic. Like if you have an idea, okay, go further. It's not so I just have an idea. Is like this is a strategic idea, and just explain the reason why you feel it's a strategic idea. Not I just have an idea, because when you start by I just have an idea, just put yourself as a receiver of that kind of message. You feel, oh, okay, that's something that just came out of the blue and might not be important. So it's really about the importance and the impact in your communication and what you are saying. And that's also how you break the pattern of the conditioning. Is reclaiming your voice is not about being louder. It's about being clearer. It's about being direct, and it's about being seen and heard through ownership, not because you're speaking louder, not because you're speaking more. It's you own what you are saying.
You're all
And
quiet, by the
yeah.
way. Everyone is so quiet. Do you have any thoughts you want to share or questions or I don't know.
And remember, by being clear, you're not losing kindness. Again, being light and being respected are two different things.
Yeah, so Mary commented that she said, I totally agree that women minimize our speaking. For sure. Sometimes just being conscious about it, I mean, it's a great start.
Yeah. Observe how many times you say just, maybe, sorry, all these words. Just observe. I did this with my one of my clients. I asked her to count for a week. She was shocked.
How many times did she count?
I think she stopped, but she was really shocked to realize how many times she was saying it. I have another one about overthinking. It's one of another client, but if you calculate that you overthink, I don't remember what was busy. I think 5 minutes per day, but at the end is almost like a full week of overthinking that you achieve at the end of the year. So that's the kind of, things when you observe and you realize the volume and the impact, that's where it takes, like you realize the pain point and you have to do something to change.
Yeah. Mary,
So
just another one. I just want to read what she, and by the way, Mary, feel free to come off mute if you want to share. Uh, would love to hear you. She said, as a junior manager and supervisor, I find myself doing this all the time. Sometimes we don't believe that we deserve to be in the position. Or we feel, I very much agree with you, Maria, or we feel like maybe um, less worthy because we're different, which actually is the opposite way around. I mean, I felt a lot of times that I'm not like the other men, so maybe I worth less, which actually is the opposite because we bring a different perspective. And Mary said, I probably say sorry with every sentence they say. So maybe one takeaway for you, Mary, and for all of us is stop using the word sorry. Julie, do you want me to move to the next slide?
yes, let's go. So we were talking about not being louder, but being clearer, direct, seen and heard. So it's basically communicating with more intention. And that's where we move to the influence part. And we know, so some are young managers, some are expecting, to be leader. And so one of the most powerful strengths as a leader is how you influence people. And that's a recurring question. What does that mean to influence? And so influencing doesn't mean to come from talking more or saying more, but it's really, looking at communicating what matters in a clearly, concisely, and with direction. And what is happening usually when you doubt yourself or when you don't feel confident, you are you giving a lot of details, like you try to justify yourself, you try to prove yourself, and you prove yourself with more and more details. And this is not influencing and this is not impacting. At executive level and even manager, like people are listening for impact. What does that mean, impact? That means that either you communicate about the risk, either you communicate about the opportunity, and then you communicate your recommendation. But you communicate about an impact, not about details, because that's what people are looking for. Like, how are you going to impact the business? How are you going to impact the team? How are you going to impact the clients? That's what we want to know, not the details about it, but the outcomes. So, how you do this? First, you ensure that you end with strengths or close with clear action items. So many times in meetings, we end up in meeting and we even don't know what was the outcome and what is the next step. So you can take, this role if you see and you can identify already today that your meetings might not be as efficient as they could be. Make sure that you suggest and you reinforce at the end of the meeting to have action items. Make it memorable. Use storytelling. Um, you always, find a way to get the attention of people with storytelling. So find a good story that will, help uh, the audience to understand what is the impact you want to create. Ask effectively. Same, when we doubt, we tend to turn around and about, as Limor mentioned, so what do you really need? Make it clear, make it simple, give a timeline if it's about a timeline, make it about resources if it's about resources, but just ask what you need and what we get the result about what you need. It's again, impact. The relevance you connect to business priorities, that's always helping, if they see what will be the impact and frame. So you set a context to the message. Um, let's say, for example, okay, so you've been working on identifying, how to increase or reduce something for the customer, instead of going, and be really lengthy about what you have done. Okay, we collected data and from this channel, etc., etc. No, this is not impactful. The impactful is, okay, the solution to reduce, for example, the churn rate by X%, I recommend to implement this by the end of the month. Then if they want more details, they will ask. No need to give all the details. You come all the way to the conclusion and the impact. And that is what is influencing, is like thinking strategically and thinking about the impact that you can deliver when you are communicating, when you are asking, or when you are in a meeting.
By the way, this is something I see also with men, not just with women, that when trying to influence, they think about, we tend to think inward about what we want to get from someone, what we want to achieve, and less about, as you said, Julie, like the business impact, or even like maybe what the stakeholder, the manager, need, want, what's important for them. So when we just think, even shift the thinking from ourselves to business, how everything is tied to the business, how it's tied to whatever my manager, my stakeholder, executives need, what is important for them, it really helps us to make an influence others. And we have a question for Mary. How do you know who you need to target to influence? I never really thought about it strategically.
Okay. I would say depend also what is the objective. It's not about targeting specific people to influence. I would say as a leader, every communication should be intentional and you should influence people in a specific way.
Yeah, and I think it depends also what you need. For example, like if I want a team to collaborate with me, for example, if I work with a different team and I want them to collaborate, then I'm trying to think who are the people that in that team that are going to be the decision makers, or they're going to be maybe people that if I'm able to influence them, they will maybe influence others to collaborate with me. If I want more, I don't know, headcount, then obviously it's my manager. If I need to deliver a message. So anything that you're thinking about wanting, needing, doing, you need to think who are the relevant people that it's going to be influential for. I don't know, Mary, if you have anything that you want to clarify here or ask more.
I think one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of women do not have a plan to do this influencing that you're talking about. So what happens is that you get stuck in it's like a mid-career gap, or you get stuck in a gap. You can't progress because what happens is that you're just naturally, allegedly, because we're like emotional people or something like that, or like we're the social glue fabric, you do this without intention. You do this subconsciously because it's like a natural part of who you are. So that's why what you're teaching right now and what you're talking about right now is new. Like for me personally, it's more new, and so that's something that I have to shift toward and add in. But I think it also feels uncomfortable to do this, if that makes sense. Yeah. It just is not a natural thing to do it with the intention, with a plan, with a strategy, to think, okay, well, I've done this, these are the people I need to talk to in my organization, and all of these things that you have to consider. But I really do think this is a real skill that needs to be widely talked about more.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. I mean, first of all, I mean, I would say that I didn't do it, I mean, all the time, all right? I mean, I don't know about you, Julie. I wasn't always intentional, and I just kind of, did my job and never, at the beginning, I never thought about those things.
For me, it was the opposite. I was known to be the one who pushed everyone, and it was like I was at Alibaba, one of my the girls say I'm the worst person to work with. But I was really proud actually from her because she was managing the tech team, and I needed the tech team to definitely deliver what they have to deliver. But Mary, to go back, and especially if we're looking at the promotion part and promotion piece, um, I think yes, it's important to be strategical. Like I see too many of my clients, that are telling me, "Oh, I don't understand why I didn't get promoted," and because they still feel that it's something that is a recognition, or they still feel that it's because they deserve, and so it will come because they deserve it, and it's not the way it's working, and the way it's working, it's you have to be at some point strategical and to understand who will be the decision maker that will help you to get what you want. And so for this, you need to define what you want, and then identify the person that you will need to influence. And a promotion is not something that you can achieve in 3 months. It's a 1 year, 2 years preparation, because you have to build trust actually with the people. And influence is also really tied to trust. And influencing people is also building trust with them. Does that help?
Yes, it really does help. I think that's something that I always did, was always build trust, like start with that first. And I find that a lot of the executive coaching for women, they do not really talk about this. So I'm very happy that you're stating this very, very firmly, and also with the timeline that you said, that it does take something like a 1 year. It takes a long time. That's just in my experience too. So thank you.
Perfect. Okay, you wanted to share
Yeah,
something?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for any background noise. I just wanted to add to the ingredients here in this framework because it's really important. I remember when I had heard all of these things, who you want to influence, be strategic. And I did all of that, except the point about end with strength and the point about ask effectively. So I've gone in with this to a senior stakeholder. I was going for promotion in a previous life for executive role, and I did all the right things. And then about 25 minutes in, he was like, this is all good stuff. We should definitely do this in the business. But what exactly are you asking me for? And then I realized that the part about asking effectively, I had missed the mark. I had not been very specific about what I wanted. So even though I had the great ideas and I had made a case for the value I would bring, I hadn't actually let him know specifically what I was asking for. And that, of course, meant my whole pitch fell apart and I was unable to end with strength. And then it cost me, to Julie's point, another 12 to 18 months to get another opportunity to do what I could have started 2 years prior.
Wow. Thank you so
Mm,
much for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. If I may share, because I'm coaching men and also some women and some men, and I can see it's quite noticeable um, how they are approaching it, as an ask. And so when we start the coaching collaboration, is really how do I set up myself for success. So it's really something that they think about, and as soon as they are in a position, they're already thinking about, okay, how do I move to the next one? Women tend to focus on how can I be perfect in my current position, and how do I demonstrate I can do 100% what I'm doing, and how I can be, recognized for doing 100% and overperforming. But the challenge, and that's why the ask is really important, is really claim. Like a promotion is not something you deserve, it's something you claim. And you have to claim it as soon as you can, because also the way the organization are working, they have a process that will be at least 1 year and a half, to get in the path of the promotion path. They decide the headcount, they decide the budget. It's not something that can really come, in few months. So the claim and the ask effectively, and if we talk about a promotion, you have to claim your promotion. You have to demonstrate why you are ready for the next position. Sorry, I'm expanding. It's a bit not out of the topic, but just it's a really important ask when we talk about promotion. You have to claim it, not to wait and to feel that you deserve it.
Yeah. By the way, ask doesn't have to be just about promotion. Obviously, it can be
Sure.
about things. It can be about resources or whatever. I mean, whatever you need. I had a client who was uncomfortable asking for days off, to take some days off. So it can be pretty much anything. It doesn't have to be just promotion. But I would say, Julie, that based on my experience, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I used to wait. Basically, I thought at the beginning of my career that I just need to do a good job and someone would notice and recognize it. And unfortunately, in most cases, it doesn't work that way. Not for women and not for men. And men are never shy, or most of them, and the one I've seen, are not shying away from asking what they want. Anyone else want to share something or about this? So Olga said, claim your needs, definitely. Yes, Mary.
Yes, and this is another thing that I read. I think it was in some kind of statistical report during COVID, and also is I think it's in past research that women do not apply for jobs even if they are qualified 80%. They meet 80% of the qualification metrics, whereas men apply even if they meet only 60% of the metrics. So I really do think that this is a form of social conditioning that really needs to be broken down. Because if you're 80% qualified. You're almost a perfect match, right? You're actually a perfect match. I think that's what Julie is saying, right? So actually, we need to claim that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And obviously, there's a lot of statistics about it, Mary. And usually, what I say, I mean, women that I talk to, okay, I muted you. And so, usually, what I say to women who are considering maybe a new job, and they tend to say, "Oh, I don't have this. I didn't do this." So I usually recommend reframing instead of thinking what you don't have. What do you have? What are the things that you have done? What are the experiences that you have that makes you a great fit? Okay, for the sake of time, I mean, maybe we'll talk about the next one. And this is something I will share. I suffered from being a pleaser for many, many years. We need to stop being a people pleaser. I don't know how many of you relate. I think that I didn't even realize I was, operating out of pleasing people. And basically, what happened was I was trying to be loved, liked, whatever you want to call it. I wanted people to like me. And that affected how I worked with either managers, peers, or people who reported to me. And I made actually some bad decisions because of that. Like, for example, if my team wanted to do something and I said, yeah, of course, I wanted to please them. I wanted to be a good manager. I wasn't maybe confident enough in my management abilities. So we need to identify, I think, when it happens to us. So the spot the patterns is about kind of recognize first awareness, like recognizing when do you default to pleasing people. So it could be, for me, it was like when engineers wanted to experiment with something or to do something that maybe I needed to question whether it was actually the best use of the time. I was tending to say yes. Um, I have clients who really, are the helpers. So every time people reach out to them for help, they always say yes, even if it's not the top priority, even if it's not urgent. So you need really to identify. So a lot of time we work on, we identify that you are always helping, you're a helper. Identify the patterns, and then trying to kind of think about how can you be a direct and basically communicate your needs. So for example, if people in my team wanted to, I had for example, a case where people in my team wanted to change the database that we used or wanted to do something that I felt like was really risky. So I said, like, yeah, maybe technology, it's the right thing to do, but is it the best use of our time? Have you considered, all the overhead that goes into that? So not being afraid to be direct with what you need, what is important, for the business. Is it the top priority right now? Is it really what we should focus on? Or if someone is asking for your time, I'm currently working on other priorities. How urgent is it? When do you need it by? So not kind of defaulting to the automatic response and not being afraid of being direct with what you need or with whatever you're currently focused on. The next one is about kind of, how do you say things? So we talked about like being apologetic, right? About saying, I'm sorry, how do you respond when people, when you basically want to say no, or when you want to set boundaries or stop being the pleaser? How do you say that? Do you say, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't do it right now? Or you say, hey, I'm actually working on something that is really high priority. when do you need it by? I need to reconsider if this is like something I can do. So how do you say things, like your tone of voice, how, your face? Instead of apologizing, say it confidently. And setting boundaries, I think, like, is something that is, you need to be consistent so people will actually respect you. And I've seen that both on me and also with clients that I work with. We tend to think that if we say yes all the time, people will like us and respect us more. And actually, it's the other way around. When we say yes all the time, people just get used to it and they respect us. Not that they don't respect us, but they will just think it's obvious that I will help someone, or it's obvious that I will say yes. When you say set boundaries, it could be, oh, I cannot work after hours, or I cannot do this on the weekend. I had a manager, for example, who was working 24/7, and I set clear boundaries that I don't work on weekends unless it's something like super, super urgent and critical. And when you consistently repeat that message, people will understand that those are the boundaries that you don't cross typically. Yes, Mary,
Yes,
please.
and so this is one of the reasons why women are less likely also to negotiate their contracts. So this problem that you're talking about with people pleasing and not understanding how to set boundaries and clearly and consistently communicating by saying no in many different ways, right? So I was reading as well as I was reading a lot during COVID about why women were out of the workforce, why they were negatively impacted, and also why we were not able to re-enter the workforce post-COVID. And we were re-entering at a very like at a less pace. So I think a lot of women just went right out of the workforce. And even post-COVID, maybe up to about 3 or 4 years, there's still not more women entering the workforce. So I was very curious about that. And I was like, why is that happening? So apparently, all throughout a woman's life, they're less likely to negotiate. And then they are unable to I don't know what it's called, minimize the salary gap between men and women, even with men and women managers and executives. And I was like, why is that? And so I was doing more reading, and I came to this fact, this point that you're making. It's because we do not understand the purpose of saying no. We do not understand how to say no. And so a lot of times when people are teaching this concept, they don't actually teach it in a way of how can saying no actually be beneficial to women. Do you know what I mean? They always teach it on it's more of like a defensive mechanism, how to overcome your defensive mechanism. But on the other side, they don't actually teach it in a way as when you learn to set boundaries, when you learn to say no, this is actually what you're communicating to a manager, to an executive, to your friend, to your partner. They don't actually list out the benefits that comes about. So the point that you're making, that you just made, so when you said no, you actually probably gained more time for yourself, I think, right? So they don't talk about that part. I think more women need to talk about that and why they need to be doing this.
And Mary, if I can add on that, there is a really nice book that is called Starting with No. And so basically they say that no is the beginning of any negotiation because it's empowering both sides to start with clarity and respect. So actually one of the advice that they are saying when you're in business is like to make sure to start a question to your client or prospect that will generate a no, because that's where you create actually a relationship of equality, and that's where you can really start the discussion.
Yeah, and they are actually very good. There's a great book, Never Split the Difference, by Chris Voss. About
same thing. So it's based on Jim Clamp and contrarian negotiation.
Yeah, and there are several YouTube videos about it. And I actually tried this strategy, like asking a question that the answer would be no. It's very, very powerful. I would really recommend you to to try that. For example, I'll give you just an example, right? Let's say I have a manager who wants me to work on a weekend. So I can ask a question like that. The answer would be no. Hey, for example, like, do you want me to burn out? I just made this up. So obviously the answer is no. He doesn't want me to burn out. Well, I mean, the weekend is very important for me because I need some time to recharge. It's just an example. You don't have to use it exactly, but asking a question that no is the answer to it is very powerful.
And another book that is called Likeable Badass. So she suggests an exercise. So just try to collect 10 no's, because we never ask because we are afraid to ask. And you will realize that it's not so easy to collect 10 no.
Yeah, this is a great exercise. Actually, I saw a video, I don't remember of who it was, of a lady, and she said she went to a department store like Macy's or something like that, that, you know, they have fixed prices, right? They don't like just make a discount. It's not like a farmer's market or something. And she went deliberately to try to reduce the price of some, let's say, a dress or a shirt, just to practice getting no. And actually, she was surprised that she actually got a discount. She said, "Oh, it's too expensive for me. You know, can I get some discount?" And she actually was able to get a discount. Okay, for the sake of time, we'll just move to the next one, embody executive energy. And I think this is something that a lot of people talk about, executive energy, executive presence, because a lot of what we show to others is more than just what we say, like the words we say. It's about our energy. It's about how we sit. It's about how we talk. It's about how we look, our face expression, our voice, our posture. I mean, a lot of things. And when we get into, it could be like a physical room or a virtual room, doesn't matter. We need to really be thoughtful about how we are being seen. Are we seen confident? Are we sitting like there are some researches about women like that we try to minimize our space, so we take less space in meetings, or we speak quietly. You know, I've seen a lot of women that speaks quietly. So we want to show up as confident as leaders. So we need to have the executive energies. And before you get into a meeting, you can do some routine. Those are just examples, right? You don't have to do specifically those, but like, if it helps you be more confident, review what are the things that are important for you in the meeting, what are the things you want to say. Power pose is very important. Like maybe do a power pose and get yourself more confident in yourself. Breathing, whatever helps you be confident, feel more comfortable. So there are breathing techniques, grounding, like you can just close your eyes and try to ground yourself and breathe just to get into the right space, especially when you're like moving from one meeting to another, you're very stressed. And kind of you want to match your energy to the context. So if you want to be seen as assertive in a meeting, as, you know, a leader, you want to think about how that person should sound, what they should say, how they should sit. So kind of, you know, the alignment of what you want people to see you is very important. Like, they want to see you as assertive, as confident. Maybe they want to see you as like the person who connects everyone together, like the one who solves problem. So the energy should be the same. If you're, you know, trying to be the one who is bringing everyone together, how that person should look like, how they should sound. Any other thoughts, Julie? Anything you want to add?
Just want to add that can help maybe to shift from focusing on you and having all this chain of thought. You can also think about how do you want people to feel? How do you want to make them feel when they are with you? And so instead of focusing on that, what you have to do for yourself and, maybe adapting, like just focusing on them and ask yourself, okay, how do I want them to feel when you communicate with them? That's also executive presence.
Love that. Anyone wants to share what helps them?
And I think we underestimate the power of the breathing techniques.
Yes. By the
So
way,
highly recommend.
yesterday I was in a training, so I just finished a team coaching training yesterday. And at the beginning of the training, we did kind of breathing for a few minutes, just to, because we all we commuted and we're getting into the learning space. So we wanted just to ground ourselves, like, okay, we leave everything behind and we just start, with the energy of learning. And it was very powerful, actually.
Mm. So it's a physical mechanism, actually, when you do the breathing exercise and you open your diaphragm is actually impacting a nerve, the vagus nerve, which is calming your system. So it's not only just to do it, it's like a physiological reaction of doing the breathing exercise. So that's why I say we underestimate the power of it.
Definitely. And I think because we have only
Yeah.
only 3 minutes, I thought maybe Julie will talk about, do you want us to do the poll? Or?
I will maybe just ask, maybe let's see which topic they will be interested, and then give them time for Q&A, and the one who has to drop can drop.
Yeah, we wanted to, so basically we are going to do another one like this in 4 weeks or 3. I forgot the date.
July 2nd.
July 2nd. Okay, I'll put it in the second. And we wanted you, thank you so much for joining today, and wanted to ask you, so we'll do a quick poll. What topic do you want us to cover next out of the list here?
Oh, you can have multiple selection. Okay.
Did everyone vote? I voted. Yeah, I think Mary, I think that all the topics are important. Okay, I'll so a minute passed, so I'll end the poll and I'll share with you the results. Do you see the results?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strategy thinking like a VP and showing it 80%.
Yeah, it's a strategy.
Okay. What does that mean to think like a VP?
Perfect. So any questions or comments or anything you would like to add?
What is the takeaway? I'm curious. Like, what is the one thing that you're taking away and you would like to implement or practice?
I think for me it's the strategic pause. I tend to just not vomit, but say everything I have on my mind and I want to share. And it's true that sometimes it's just too much, or I just focus on what I need to deliver and then read the room, read the reaction. But it's true that having some pauses can help. And I didn't think of it before. I'm like, why not? But yeah, the attitude, the pause, yeah, definitely. It really depends on the room. Like if you feel like the atmosphere is low, but you want to cheer them up, you might want to adapt. Or if the atmosphere is low, but you have some bad news to deliver, yeah, I need to think about how to do that a little bit better without, well, making everyone even sadder, right? But being objective. That's the two things for me. Yeah, reading the room, the atmosphere, and the poses.
Thank
I think for me, it's to reclaim your promotion.
I think I'm the same as well. I'm focusing on reclaiming. So I'm going to be reclaiming my voice as well, and practicing the stopping minimization that I do naturally all the time. So I'm going to be practicing that as well. And I think the last part about being a people pleaser or a helper, I'm going to be working on that because that's very critical for me. So, yeah.
Perfect. So,
And Mary, as you were talking, I don't know, something came in my mind about the minimizing, and we say sorry, and Limor mentioned sorry to interrupt, and I was like, oh, maybe a good way is like asking people, like, can I get your intention? So instead of, because we know also, and especially upward, you feel that you are interrupting. So instead of starting with sorry to disturb, just ask a question like, can I get your attention?
Thank you for that tip. I will practice that as well. Thank you.
so I want to thank all of you for joining. Thank you so much. And thank you,
Yeah.
Julie.
Thank you, Limor. It was fun.
Fun. And definitely we'll
Thank
do
you,
the
ladies.
next one. We'll do the next one on, as you said, on July 2nd. We'll send you all an email, we publish it, and we'll send you an email with all the book recommendations and the worksheet that we have for you. And we'll be happy to be in touch with all of you.
Yeah, and you will have our contact details, so feel free also to connect with us if you need more or want more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, I stopped the
Bye.
recording.
Bye,
Bye.
ladies.